From the SpiderVerse to Gotham City and everything in between, the creative people who bring comic pop culture's exciting worlds and characters to life unleash their imagination to build spectacular stories that hold a special place in every fan's heart. CBR proudly presents Dynamic Duos, a podcast interview series that brings brilliant creatives together to pick each other's brains about their unique work in comic pop culture. Whether it's comic books, movies, animation, TV, or video games. The very first episode arrives on May 3rd and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. First up, we've got two titans of the comic book industry, The Walking Dead and Invincible's Robert Kirkman, and Spawn and The Amazing Spider-Man's Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, sometimes I think fans would be horrified if they knew how much stuff we forget, you know? I mean, I don't want to out myself too much, but I have to reread The Walking Dead because we're doing the deluxe reprints, and so I make sure the lettering looks good, and I'm doing a commentary in the back, so I have to be well-versed in the issue. So I reread the comic now twice a month, and it's been years since I've read The Walking Dead. When I was writing it, I would reread things to make sure I had everything lined up and everything. But once the book ended, my brain was just don't need this anymore. Floop. So, I read issues of Walking Dead and I'm like, wait a minute, I did this? Wow, I didn't even know I knew that was a thing, and I wrote that into a story?
Also coming up are fan favorite Batman storytellers Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. They're known for their dark work and joke about whether they could adapt to another famous franchise.
Somebody told me that they would kill to see us do My Little Pony together, and I was like, the challenge of that would be so fun. Where it's no gore, no thing. I'm sure it'd wind up being gore or whatever. Pony.
You'd find a way to make it dark.
I would. Pony. Yeah. Now I'm thinking. Now I'm like, oh.
Plus, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse directors Joaquin Dos Santos and Kemp Powers talk about their love of comics and approach to the eagerly anticipated Spidey sequel from Sony.
I love original stories, and I like to try to tell the most original stories possible. And if the plan for this film was just to do exactly what the first film did, but more, but bigger, I wouldn't have really been interested. What excited me was that they didn't want to repeat anything that they'd done before.
Also coming up in season 1 of Dynamic Duos are Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas and his Marvel co-writer B. Earl, DC comic creatives Nicholas Scott and Tom Taylor, comedian and comic book co-writers Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom, Wonder Woman voice actor Susan Eisenberg, and more. CBR's Dynamic Duos podcast arrives on May 3rd, and new episodes will release on every other Wednesday. You'll find every new interview on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, whether you're a lifelong comic book fan or only watch the movies and shows. CBR's Dynamic Duos will have something for every type of fan to enjoy. Happy listening, and we'll see you on May 3rd.